This is Financially Fit Radio with Cory Sickles from Safe Harbor Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Cory provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Financially Fit Radio with Cory Sickles.
Hello and welcome back to Financially Fit Radio. My name is Cory Sickles from Safe Harbor Retirement Group and Wealth Advisors. If you would like more information about what you hear during our show today, just give us a call at 614-760-0670 or visit us online at safeharboroh.com. And while you're on our website, click on that radio page. You can check out some past shows and subscribe to our program on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, or Spotify. Also, feel free to visit our YouTube page by typing in Safe Harbor Retirement Group to watch videos on different financial topics. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have questions or if you want to set up a face-to-face or virtual meeting. And remember, all meetings are complimentary with no obligation. Well, today what I want to spend some time on is really the benefits of getting a second opinion on your financial plan. You know, it's a great time to do that. We have a lot of, I guess you can say the market's very unstable, very volatile right now. There's not a better time to kind of, review your overall financial strategy, look at your investments, just to make sure that you have the protection that you need and make sure that, your risk level is where it should be as well. So we'll kind of dive into, the benefits of getting that second opinion. But before we talk about that, let me introduce to you my co-host this week and every week, and that's Tony Shore. Tony, how are you today?
I am doing great, Cory. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here, and it sounds like you've got a good one lined up for us. And, I think it is important to not only have a plan in place, but get it reviewed and work with a financial professional like yourself to make sure you're on course and you're on track. And we're going to dig into that a bit today. But yeah, I'm doing great. I've been up here in Minnesota, and we just had 18 inches of snow. So, and then you rubbed it in by telling me it's 70 degrees back there in Ohio, right?
I did. And it's nice and sunny today. We have a cold front coming in, but nothing like, no. That you're going to experience.
Right.
And, I always hate when we have a great, really when you go back and you look at February, it's been very mild. And, it always scares me that, we're going to have a bad March and April.
Yep.
But it's been a very mild winter.
It has.
And, hopefully it's going to stay mild. And next thing we know, spring is going to be here. And, with me, the Masters is coming up, and that means golf season's coming up for myself.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. I think we have a good show here today talking about, just some of the benefits that, for our listeners out there, really the benefits for you to be able to get that second set of eyes to kind of look at your financial plan. And really what I want to kind of do today is just kind of go over our process.
Okay.
In the way that we do things here, and really the first thing I really want to talk about, Tony, and that is, we all know we have an unstable market. That's definitely that's definitely taking place right now, and it's probably going to be a little bit unstable here for for a good portion of 2023.
Yeah, it went up and down
well.
already this year, so
it has, and the one thing that I would highly recommend that you do is, when you start looking at about working with an advisor and more importantly, maybe getting that second opinion, or if you're with an advisor, one of the things you do want to make sure of is that advisor has a fiduciary responsibility to you. We do here at Safe Harbor Wealth Advisors, all that means to you, the client, more than anything else is we're going to recommend products and investment solutions for you that's going to be in your best interest, not in our best interest. And there's a lot of advisors out there that maybe have what we call a suitability, which means the product's just got to be suitable for you. And 9 times out of 10, every product's suitable for anybody out there. The real question is is that product suitable for me and for the strategy that I need in order to make sure that I have a worry-free retirement.
And that's what we all want, is a worry-free retirement. And I think the key here is that you're going to look at the big picture. When you said get a second set of eyes on it, a lot of times so-called financial planners will focus on one area or another. But the beauty of our listeners bringing it to you and showing you where it's at, you're going to look at the big picture and see how everything can fit together, right?
That's exactly right. And, the other part that we really want to try to do too is be very transparent about the services that we do offer. But more importantly, we want to make sure that we're educating you on the types of products that are within your portfolio. There's so many times, Tony, when I have someone come in and they really don't truly know what they actually have. And, part of our process is to be able to educate you what you have. Are you in particular products that you can't get out of for a few years? Your money's locked up. You maybe you know that, maybe you don't. And really what we're talking about there more than anything is probably some type of an annuity. And, the one thing we want to make sure of is that you understand, how that annuity works and what's the benefits for you for that as well. I just see it so many times where they don't know anything about the products they have. The other side is they don't know anything about the types of fees that they're also paying, not only to the advisor, but also for the investments that they actually have.
Yeah, that's true. And you have to understand what fees you're paying and what's being done and how it fits together. There are so many different aspects to this, Cory. And I think it's really important for our listeners to understand they don't have to go it alone. And we really need a plan in place. Some of our listeners are at various stages. Some might have a written plan and be working with an independent advisor who's a fiduciary who is looking at the big picture. Others might just have a 401k or an IRA, or they just have some money in the stock market, or maybe they just have an annuity here or life insurance there, but they really need to get a second opinion. Is it right for them? Does it all fit together? Correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Tony. And one of the things I do want to maybe spend a moment on is just the process and the way it actually works here with us. First of all, I want to remind everybody that when you do come in, whether you have a plan or if it's just a second opinion, all meetings with us are complimentary. There's no obligation. But let's kind of talk about that first meeting. The first meeting is not going to last any longer than an hour. Prior to the meeting, we're going to send you an email that's going to have what we call our confidential outline, which just allows you to complete some information, so we have a good idea of who you are and get a good idea of your overall financial summary. Really, it's going to allow us as we sit down and meet in that first meeting to kind of discuss.
Yeah.
And during that first meeting, the big discussion is going to be, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you retired? If you are retired, that might be a little bit different discussion than if you are planning to retire in the next few years. But we really truly want to understand, where you are today and really where you want to be 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now as well.
Sure. And you saying that reminds me, and you've brought this up on past shows, how important your own personal timeline is. We all have a different, what you call the time horizon, you've called it, Cory, right?
Yep. Yeah. And everybody has a different time horizon, and everybody has a different solution at the end of the day too. And, during that first meeting, we really truly want to understand what you're trying to accomplish. And more importantly too, we're also going to give you what we call our risk analysis, or we call it a COMRA, color of money risk analysis. Yep. And really all that is it's going to enable us to be able to determine what your true risk level is. Then we kind of have a baseline of, when you actually take that, we'll discuss on what that means to you. But now we have that baseline, and now we can go back and kind of look at the best way to be able, to possibly come up with a solution in order to meet those needs.
Well, and there you go. And it is good to figure out what that baseline is and what the needs are going to be. And these are questions people often have. I'm sure our listeners out there, many of them have, how much am I going to need in retirement? And, what's my magic number, right? Is there a magic number?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And, and some of the other aspects of it, that we're going to discuss too, again, it depends on your age, but, we're definitely going to want to discuss all, your portfolios. We're going to want to be able to understand your Social Security situation. And hopefully you bring those numbers to us and we'll talk about that here in a second. We also want to look at your legal, do you have wills? Do you have trust? Is that something that you maybe need to put in place or maybe even update? Do you need life insurance? So we're going to be able to discuss all these type of topics in that first meeting, but it's going to give us a well-rounded overview of where you are and really where you want to go. And that then kind of leads us to that second meeting, Tony.
Well, okay. So that was the first meeting and, you really get to know them. You get that initial consultation out of the way. You get some information from them. So I imagine that would lead to the next meeting. But before we get into that, let's take a moment to let our listeners know how they can set up that initial consultation. And there's no cost or obligation to that, right?
That is correct, Tony. For our listeners out there, you can just give us a call at 614-760-0670. Or you can always visit our website at safeharboroh.com, and you can schedule a complimentary, no obligation meeting with us. And again, like we're discussing today, the goal is to be able to put a financial plan in place if you don't have one, or provide you that second set of eyes and a second opinion if you do have one. Our goal here at Safe Harbor is to make sure that you do have that worry-free retirement. And the best way to be able to do that is to sit down with us and let us show you what we can do by building that financial plan for you. So again, just give us a call at 614-760-0670 or visit our website at safeharboroh.com.
All right. We're going to take a little break and then we'll be right back with more of Financially Fit Radio with our host, Cory Sickles.
There are 96 different months you could file for Social Security benefits. There's over 9,000 combinations if you are married. But that's not all. There's advanced filing strategies that can also be used. By the time you factor it all in, there are over 20,000 calculations that need to be run to find the best way to file for Social Security benefits. To request your complimentary Social Security maximization report from Safe Harbor Retirement Group, visit safeharboroh.com. The Social Security maximization report will tell you exactly what to do and exactly when to do it.
Hello and welcome back to Financially Fit Radio. My name is Cory Sickles from Safe Harbor Retirement Group and Wealth Advisors. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, just give us a call at 614-760-0670 or visit us online at safeharboroh.com. And while you're at our website, click on that radio page. You can check out past shows and subscribe to our program on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, or Spotify. Also, feel free to visit our YouTube page by typing in Safe Harbor Retirement Group to watch videos on different financial topics. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have questions or if you want to set up a face-to-face or virtual meeting. And remember, all meetings are complimentary with no obligation. Well, Tony, really for the first part of the meeting, we kind of talked about that first initial meeting when you do come in and allow us to provide that second opinion or to be able to go through the process to build that financial plan for you. And I kind of want to focus the rest of the show on really what that second meeting is going to entail, for you, for our listeners out there. And really, it's a pretty simple process. Once we gather all the information, now we're going to go back, and do work. And normally that second meeting is going to last about another hour. And it's going to usually take place at least about a week after the first meeting. So that's what, because it takes us about a week in order to put everything together. Sure. And really the first thing we're going to be able to, when we sit down and go over everything, is we're going to be able to provide you a financial overview about everything that you provided to us. We want to make sure that, for example, we're going to list all your investments, whether they're IRAs, Roths, whether they're brokerage or non-qualified accounts. We're going to review, whether you have your legal stuff and completed. We're going to review your life insurance, whether you have a variable annuities or maybe even a fixed indexed annuity. We're going to make sure we understand your current income situation. So we're going to be able to provide this all back to you, just to make sure that everything is accurate. So once we do that, then we're going to kind of get into what we call our Morningstar report. So when you provide financial statements to us, we go out and use Morningstar in order to do a review of your current portfolio. It's going to show us, of course, how you're allocated. Are you 60% stocks, 40% bonds, or whatever your unique situation is. We're going to be able to show you how those investments performed. We're going to be able to show you the fees that you're actually paying for those types of products. And, depending on your situation, whether you're in growth mode or maybe you're more in the dividend side, we can also show you, what your dividends or, what percentage of yield are you actually receiving off of those dividends. And more importantly, we're going to be able to give you a baseline of what your true risk structure is as of today as well. And that's key.
That is.
To make sure that you understand what your risk level is. For example, if you're conservative growth and you're 60% stocks, we're going to be able to tell you that based upon our analysis, you're more riskier than you really should be.
Yeah, and I think people don't realize, people think, oh, we're conservative, we don't want to take a lot of risk with our money, and then you look at it and it's all in stocks or something, right? So a lot of people don't correlate that, and I think that's great. So basically what you're saying, Cory, is in that second meeting, you'll sit down and show them, hey, here's where your money is at. Here's why you might want to change this. Or, hey, you're allocated great for where you're at. It can be both ways. Or, hey, you're overinsured or you're underinsured, or this isn't a very good, insurance or annuity product for you that you're in. Maybe somebody sold that to you just to get a commission. Here's where you really need to be, because as a fiduciary, Cory, you're looking out for their best interests. So I think that's a huge reason that everybody should be getting a second opinion from a trusted financial advisor who's a fiduciary, somebody like yourself.
That's exactly right. Tony, that's what we're really going to do. We want to make sure, more importantly, that you understand everything that you're actually invested into.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand the products that they're into. So we want to make sure that you understand that. And then really what we're going to do from there, Tony, is now we're going to get into our recommendations. And what we do is we use what we call our allocation roadmap. And it's going to be able to show you, your safe money, for example, what we're going to be able to manage in the market for you. But more importantly, we're going to be able to tie that all back to make sure that you're allocated back to your whatever risk level that you are. And everybody's different. Some are conservative, some are balanced, maybe some are even in growth mode, depending on your unique situation. So we just want to be able to make sure that what we're going to do for you is within your risk tolerance level, and we'll be able to show you exactly what how we're going to be able to do that as well.
So it's really there's two meetings: the initial consultation, where you get the information, and then you use that to run reports, and then you look at these reports in the second meeting and give them a review of where they're at. Is that how it works?
That's exactly right. And, and part of this is going to be, eventually we're going to be able to get to what that income plan is going to look like for you. But, if, for example, if you haven't taken Social Security yet, then we're going to run what we call our Social Security maximization report. And we're going to review that report, with you. It's going to show you when's the best time for you or, you and your spouse to be able to trigger those benefits, to be able to make sure that you're going to be able to maximize that, through your retirement years as well. You really can't build an income plan unless you can understand Social Security, because it's the foundation of that income plan. So we want to make sure that you understand it, because it can be a little bit complicated. But again, we want to make sure that you understand why we're going to be recommending for what we're going to be able to do from an income standpoint as well.
Well, and that's the key. So basically then you get to the point where, hey, here's how we can help you create income in retirement, right? And that's, as people get on it, that's part of it too, right?
That's exactly right. So once we kind of review where you are, what we're recommending, go over Social Security, then we're going to kind of get into that, what that income plan looks like. We call that our Compass report.
Okay.
It's a great report. It's going to be able to show you, here's where you are today. Here's where you're going to be maybe when you retire, or if you're retired, it's going to show that. But more importantly, it's going to show you on how we're going to meet those income needs for you in retirement. And, of course, during that first meeting, we're going to be discussing what do you what is your monthly budget and things like that. But at the end of the day, that Compass report's going to be able to show you how we're going to be able to meet those needs. And it's also going to show you year by year what your expected portfolio balance should be as well. So you can go by there year by year and be able to see not only how much are you making, but what is my portfolio balance worth? What's that portfolio balance look at, 70, 80, 90, depending on where you are. We usually plan for about 30 years. So you'll be able to see what we're expecting that to grow to or deplete to. Whether or not we're going to potentially have issues, maybe with running out of money, you'll be able to see that as well. And we also have in this, which is I think very important, and most of our listeners realize this in 2022, but we also have an inflation factor built in there as well. And we usually use about 2.5%, where you can see that you would expect your income to grow 2.5% per year as you kind of go through retirement to be able to keep up with inflation.
Right. Yeah. And so, inflation, market volatility, these are reasons that you need to have these reports run and need to have this plan in place. And, you briefly mentioned it, but, in there before the income plan, you also run a Social Security maximization report to show when the best time is to file, because that's the base of that income plan, isn't it?
It is. It is the base of that income plan. And, another thing that I think is very important, too, as we kind of go through all this, is it's going to be able to really show you whether you're going to be in a situation, Tony, to potentially run out of money, right? And here's here's one of the things I really love about when we actually run our Compass report is we have the ability to actually modify that while you're actually sitting there. Do you need a little bit more income, less income? So we're able to actually tailor that to you right then and there and see what kind of an impact that maybe has on what your portfolio balance is.
Wow.
I have a lot of clients that come in and, they say, I want to spend everything. If the kids get something, that's awesome. But that's not my main priority, right? But I'm also not going to design a plan where you're going to run out of money at age 90 either, right? Because you could live to 95. So we want to be able to, manipulate that based upon your input. But it's a great interactive way to be able to meet, your needs. And once you kind of see the way it works, it gives you a great idea of what kind of impact that has by you wanting to make $5,000 more a year of income.
Yeah.
And people don't realize $5,000 more of income at age 65, what that really does when you add inflation onto it and so forth by the time you're 85 or 90.
Yeah, and I think that's key. Well, we're out of time for today's show. Let our listeners know before we go how they can get a hold of you.
No problem, Tony. For our listeners out there, just give us a call at 614-760-0670 or just visit us online at safeharboroh.com to schedule that complimentary no obligation meeting with us. And we'll put a financial plan in place for you, or, we'll be that second set of eyes and provide a second opinion on your current financial plan. We're here to help and guide you to have that worry-free retirement. And the best way to do that is to set up a complimentary no obligation meeting with us.
All right. Sounds great. And listeners, that does it for today's episode of Financially Fit Radio with our host, Cory Sickles.
Join us again soon for another episode of Financially Fit Radio.
Thank you for listening to Financially Fit Radio. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, contact Cory Sickles at Safe Harbor Retirement Group. Call 614-760-0670 or visit their website at financiallyfitoh.com. Cory Sickles and Safe Harbor Retirement Group are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. All matters discussed during this show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation.